All right, so good evening, everyone. I'm Mr. Vidal, the new principal for Thurston Middle School, and it's with a great honor that I get to welcome you, our future Waverider students and families, to tonight's information session on the wonderful and exploratory opportunities we have here waiting for you. We know that some families are unable to attend this evening, whether that's due to a passcode or prior obligations. So please know that we are recording this webinar and we'll be sharing the recording and PowerPoint presentation with all of you following tonight's presentation. In addition, we will be monitoring the chat box and answering questions throughout the presentation. And at the end, we will review a few commonly asked questions from the chat box. And if needed, develop a frequently asked questions document to address any lingering questions that we were unable to cover tonight. If you have any child-specific questions, please know you can always reach out to your child's school counselor or our administrative team, and we'll be sharing that contact information with you as well. This is a very exciting time for all of us for so many reasons. We know that the thought of transitioning to a middle school comes with lots of positive thoughts and emotions, and a handful of questions like, what does that look like? And for those reasons, we are thankful for the opportunity to bring parents and students together tonight to provide some insight on this exciting journey and highlight what we have to offer and how we can support you through this fun growth opportunity. This night also comes at a time when there are big changes on the horizon. Being very polite, it's been a bit of a bumpy ride this year. But with that being said, we've banded together to best support our students. And I've ensured Mr. Duddy and Dr. Hatchell that we will continue to carry that momentum of care and support in your next steps here at Thurston. As much as I would like to think that the 21-22 school year will be slightly more predictable, we know we have to approach every situation with a plan A, a plan B, and sometimes a plan Q, R, S, and T. Recently, the CDC released updates to health and safety protocols, mostly around social distancing guidelines from 6 feet to 3 feet. And as a district, we were reviewing the implications of those adjustments and how they may affect our programming in the upcoming weeks and into the next school year. And with the bumps that we've experienced, there have also been many unexpected silver linings with this year's instruction model. So with this newfound insight and some of the lessons we've learned about the importance of flexibility, the need for exploratory options, the importance of student connections and intervention and supports, the impact of longer instructional blocks of time versus short blocks with multiple transitions, we are already considering evidence-based shifts with our schedule that will benefit our students and staff long-term. So in short, we are looking for ways to minimize the number of transitions and maximize exploratory options and instructional supports for the upcoming school year. We are currently engaging in the process with our students and staff to capitalize on some of those silver linings and avoid some of the challenges that everyone's experienced up to this point. Once we've finished our stakeholder engagement process and create a definitive plan, we will be sharing that information with the rest of our community. So more on that to come. Now I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce the team that I have here tonight. I'm joined by our assistant principal, Miss Megan Schooler, Miss Aubrey Garcia, our school counselor from L to Z. And we also have Mrs. Amanda Vanderveen, our school counselor A through K, but she is not able to attend tonight, but will be available for questions, and we'll be joining Miss Garcia in May to visit 5th grade classrooms. For our agenda, in tonight's webinar, we will cover the following topics: a day in the life of a TMS student, information about academics and elective options, ARIES registration and the steps you need to take, and finally some tools and resources you'll have to help you along the way, and what's available to you students and families once you arrive on campus. A day in the life of a TMS student. So the transition from elementary to middle is an exciting one. You'll be traveling with your friends from your elementary school and have the opportunity to develop new friendships as two elementary schools leap together and make Thurston their new home. And there will be plenty of opportunities to make new friends with numerous clubs, classes, school events, and activities where all of this can take place. Beyond friendships, you will be stretching your independence and responsibility. And one example of this is rather than having one teacher teaching all subjects, you will transition to 6 teachers with 6 different courses. And all of this encompassed within beautiful facilities with fun and engaging curriculum and amazing staff. And of course, I might be a little biased, but we have an amazing administrative team and counselors, and we'll be here to support you all along the way. And now I'll turn it over to Ms. Garcia to share a little bit more about our curriculum and the exploratory options and opportunities we have here at Thurston.
All right, good evening, everyone. Yes, with that, we're gonna get into the fun stuff. So 6th grade and all of middle school, you now have 6 classes, and typically that also means 6 teachers. When we hear from our 6th graders and when we do our meet and greets when they join us every fall, that's usually what they share is their favorite part and what they were looking forward to in middle school. So what those core classes and electives are. Like we said, typically a 6th grade schedule does have 6 different classes. Those subjects are language arts, math, social studies, science, and PE. And then the option for 1 elective, sometimes 2. And we'll talk about that. And the elective options are different exploratory or foreign language pathways, or a year-long elective, which allows students to participate throughout the year in our band and strings or music program. And we'll get into this in more detail. Our 6th grade teachers are fantastic, whether they are the core electives or the academic classes. We pushed out a link for a Flipgrid, which are little videos that each teacher took some time to put together. They're pretty short, 2 to 3 minutes each, but were really fun to allow our 6th grade team to just share a little bit about themselves, about the 6th grade curriculum, and start to put a face to the name and help our new Waveriders familiarize themselves with some of these teachers they'll be rotating between. So if you didn't get a chance to look at this in the messaging that went out on Friday, it is linked in the slideshow presentation. So when that does go out, the link is embedded. You can click on this picture, you can click on the little link embedded, and you can check out each of those teachers' little videos. They're really, really fun. They took a lot of time to put those together. So we hope you enjoy those. But like we said, a lot of teachers, 6 teachers. And this is really, really great for our 6th graders to really build their independence in their academics. This is a kind of a new concept, moving from class to class. This is a sample schedule. So students will have 6 classes, 6 different teachers typically throughout the year. This is what a sample schedule looks like in Aries. And as students get these, usually it's in late August during Waverider Day, we really work with our 6th graders on how to read these, what do they mean, where are they going? That's sometimes along with, yay, I'm excited to transition between teachers. I'm nervous that I'm not going to make it during passing periods and I'm going to get lost on our big campus. And our 6th grade team of teachers, as well as our admin and all of our TMS staff, are really great in just taking our 6th graders under their wing and helping coach them on where to go, who their teachers are, knowing that this is their first time on our campus and their first time transitioning between teachers like this. But it's usually a really good experience once they start getting the hang of it. All right, so some of the electives that I had mentioned are elective pathways. And what these are pathways that consist of a rotation between multiple classes throughout the year. We like to offer these especially to our 6th graders. They kind of offer a bit of a sampling of more in-depth electives that we offer for our 7th and 8th graders. And they are the exploratory pathway and the foreign language pathway. And 6th grade really is a great time to take one of these pathways to get a feel for what they might want to take in 7th and 8th grade, and then potentially even into high school. Since now they have multiple subjects, they can kind of branch out into some of their interests. So we just want to share with you some specifics of these pathways. So the exploratory pathway is literally just that. You kind of get to explore a few different areas within arts, within sciences. So students within this pathway will rotate through art, computers, musical theater, STEAM, which is science, technology, engineering, and math, art and math. And then Strengthsfinder. And I will come back to Strengthsfinder because this is a unique class to Thurston that actually all sixth graders will get exposed to, not just those on the exploratory pathway. And then our foreign language pathway encompasses Spanish, French, and Mandarin. So students will rotate through the 3 of those throughout the year. And what's really great about this is before committing to starting to take a foreign language, students can really have an introductory course in it to see if it's even something they want to dive into and learn as a language. It's very highly cultural education in what they're exposing students to. We do a lot of, I know our French teacher, Mrs. Beckley, does a lot of French cooking and all kinds of different fun ways to integrate culture into learning the language without really getting heavily into learning 3 languages. So don't get intimidated by hearing foreign language pathway and 3 languages. It's very introductory. And then for 7th and 8th grade, you would decide of these 3 languages, which you would like to take. Okay, so Strengthsfinder, I said we'd come back to this. This is a really awesome initiative from our district. Strengthsfinder is a program that students learn about their natural strengths. And yes, it's on our foreign language, or our exploratory pathway and wheel as a full class. But during the first couple months of school, every 6th grader will take this Strengthsfinder kind of profiler, and it tells them their top 3 strengths of these 10 strengths. And it really helps students to learn what they're naturally just good at, and then capitalize on that and focus on their strengths rather than their weaknesses. And it's really cool knowing that all of our 6th graders have had the opportunity to take this Strengths Explorer and learn what their top 3 strengths are. So our 6th grade teachers throughout our core subjects or our electives really integrate that into their classroom. They share with their 6th grade students what their strengths are, and then they kind of build on knowing these are the strengths of some of the students in the classroom, and how can they utilize that as a group and as a class, building up the relationships with their peers, and building up that academic responsibility being in middle school. And so it's a really, really neat opportunity. There also, PTA does a good job. There's a book that goes along with this for the parents to like learn about your child's strengths. So if you've ever talked to any of our PTA members and heard about that, it's really, really cool. I would really encourage you to, when your 6th grader goes through this, be a part of it because it's really fun. All right, now the fun stuff. This is the nitty-gritty ARIES elective registration process. We don't expect you to necessarily go through it right now. It will be open following this presentation, and you will get an email home with the steps. We will also pull out just a quick ARIES registration process reference guide, so you can just look at these steps again if you need to as you go through it with your student. But while we had you, we wanted to kind of talk through this process, as it is likely very different than what you've had to do previously at the elementary schools. And just to be very specific, in ARIES, you only need to register for the elective of your choosing. You do not need to go into the core classes and put those in. So it's typically just the one elective of your primary choice, and then a secondary elective possibly, and we'll talk about what that looks like. So just a handful of steps. It's 1 to 4 steps depending on what you are registering for. The first step being determine your plan. So as you sit through this presentation, as you have an opportunity to view those flip grids with our different elective offerings with your student, determine what your plan is going to be for 6th grade. Do you want one of the year-long electives, which would be band or strings? Or do you want to take one of the pathways, which would be the foreign language pathway or the exploratory pathway? If you are interested in the possibility of a second elective, that would be in what we would call a 0 period schedule, which allows for an additional schedule outside of the normal school day. And we do have a step to capture that information. So just keep in mind, if you wanted band and the foreign language pathway, there's a potential for that. You just need to follow the steps all the way through. So once you know your plan, we want you to log into your student ARIES portal. And along the side on the left, there's classes. And when you click on classes, it opens a drop-down tab to course request entry. And this is where you will be entering the elective for your child. When you click on course request entry, it brings up a search bar. Looks kind of like this. The easiest thing to do is along the right-hand side there, you'll see a search button. And if you just click search without even putting anything into the search bar, it will just populate all of the 6th grade classes that you can enter. And like I said, you're only entering the electives into the registration in Aries. So it's only going to populate the elective courses. So if you press search and you only see 4 things pop up and you don't see core classes, don't panic. We will manually register all of our students into those classes and build out their schedule accordingly. So it's just the elective. So you'll hit search, and this is an example here of the 6th grade electives that will pop up. You've got band, 6, strings, and then foreign language wheel or exploratory. So this one I don't want to be too confusing because I know I broke down the specifics in those classes, in those pathways, but for Aries registration, for the purpose of that, you just put in foreign language wheel or just exploratory, just like it looks on the screen. And you will select it. So you just select it by clicking on the name of the class. A little confirmation window will pop up and you press OK to confirm. Once you do that, it'll list over on the left-hand side of your screen, a nice little list of your course requests. So you should just have one in here. If you are opting for the potential for a second elective, if 0 periods are offered, there's a different step and a different form that I will explain in a moment. But if this is what your Aries screen looks like, then you've completed your step 1 and 2 of the elective registration in Aries. If you change your mind, you can press the red X, it'll remove it. You can put in a different one. You'll only have until Friday to do that. So if you change your mind beyond that, you do need to email your counselor, but hopefully you have time this week to have some good conversations with your incoming 6th grader and really decide what it is that they want to do for their elective come the fall. And then again, I mentioned this will close on Friday. So we are asking that you do enter these Aries registration course requests by this Friday at 3 o'clock. That course request entry tab will magically disappear at that time, and you won't be able to enter it on your own. If you do miss it, that is okay. We do want to make sure that everyone gets into their classes, so don't panic if something happens or you forget. Just email myself or Mrs. Vanderveen and we will be able to manually do it, but we are asking that you enter it with your student by this Friday at 3 o'clock. Okay, so I did mention that there is a step 3 and step 4 dependent upon the classes that you are registering for. For those that are selecting the exploratory wheel classes and enter exploratory into Aries, we are sending out a step 3 exploratory classes link in the email that's going out this evening. The purpose of this is because with everything shifting and everything changing and things being somewhat unknown, we want to be prepared and have all of the information. So should these classes not be offered on all 5 in a rotation, we are asking that you just prioritize which classes within the exploratory wheel you prefer within those subjects. So again, this will be pushed out in a Google form link that is going home to your inboxes this evening after the presentation. And this is only for those that do the exploratory pathway in Aries. And then step 4, I've mentioned a couple times, there's a potential for taking 2 electives simultaneously throughout the year. What that looks like is a 0 period, which is a 7th class. Not taking a 0 period does not cause a student to miss out on anything that is potentially required, that impacts their high school schedules. This is simply optional. And at this point is just us collecting interest. If this is something you are interested in, the potential of a 0 period, this would be where you would do that. So step 4 is another link in the email that is being sent out this evening to a Google form. And it just has you indicate if you are interested in a 0 period, what would that additional elective be? If you are choosing your additional elective as the exploratory wheel, it does have you go through the process of prioritizing those subjects as well. So you don't need to do that separate form. If you're doing a second elective, 0 period interest, everything is encapsulated in this one form that will be linked in that email tonight. Okay, so I know that was a lot of information. We do want you to be able to reference this when you go into Aries, when you pull up that email that's going out tonight and look at those forms. So obviously not only will this entire presentation be linked tonight, but there will be a link that says Aries Quick Reference, and it will just take you to these specific steps 1 through 4 slides so you can look through them again. Myself and Mrs. Vanderveen are also available for any questions that you have, whether you want more information on the electives beyond what the teachers are sharing in their Flipgrid videos, or you want to talk about what does this mean on the foreign languages or these different pathways. Just reach out to us via email. We're happy to hop on the phone. We're happy to schedule a Zoom with you and your students. Kind of one of the beauties that's come out of everything this year and the new technology. It's very easy for us to sit down and have a quick little meeting with you and your student without having to have everyone come down to the school. So it makes it very, very easy for us to connect with you and be very much a part of this process with you. All right, tools and resources. There's a lot at Thurston, and we've kind of condensed it down to one slide for tonight because we know this was very registration heavy, but we don't want you to worry, we don't want you to fret. These are all things that you will continue from here on out to hear about, to see, to be explained and broken down for you, whether it's when the counselors go to the 5th grade classrooms and get to really connect and do a nice, fun welcoming with our new Waveriders, or it's the Waverider Day in August, or throughout the weekly waves that you'll begin receiving. You'll get a lot of information about this, and we didn't want to overbear you with too much information tonight, because I know registration and logging things in Aries can be enough of a beast itself. But we did want to let you know that there are things available when your students are now on our campus. So on-campus resources, lunchtime activities. Middle school lunch is probably one of my most favorite times of the day. There's nothing like walking across a middle school campus during middle school lunch. Just the sounds and the sights. It is a lot of fun. There's like no other level of energy than our lunchtime. For all good reasons. So we do have some academic and enrichment clubs. We have a number of clubs, even this year virtually. We had upwards of 15 to 20 clubs that were still meeting regularly virtually. Clubs are a really great part of our campus and our student community. They're all student driven. So if you right now as a 5th grader are interested in something, and then come 6th grade, there's not a club for that, you can start it. And that's where every single one of our clubs come from. We've got book club, French club, coding club, all kinds of different clubs. And again, if we're missing it and it's something you're interested in, you can start it. We do have partnerships with the Boys and Girls Club. They've come and done all kinds of fun lunchtime activities in previous years between dodgeball, soccer, facilitating with the coding club. There's been all kinds of different things that they've come and partnered with, and it's very unique each year when they come up and do those activities at lunch. And then Masters of Middle School workshops. This is actually something that we run out of our counseling department, and is academic skills workshops that we run typically 1 to 2 times a month, and they're just open to any of our 6th, 7th, or 8th graders. And we work on different skills throughout the year. We try to make it fun. We know sometimes it's hard when it's lunchtime. So we try to have treats and prizes and make it just a fun thing to do during lunchtime, but also building up some of those really important skills that we want you to continue to grow in during middle school. Homework club. This has been huge in previous years and allows students to work on their homework for a period of time after the school day while they're waiting to get picked up. Bring your own device and earbuds. So this is really important, and I would say even more so now that we are all attached to our devices, but bring your own device. So whether that's your school Chromebook or a personal laptop We do ask that students come with them prepared each day, charged with headphones. And I think we're all going to be trained for that in the fall. And then we do have a number of online resources which greatly expanded this year. Our TMS website obviously is a great resource along with the district's website. Our weekly Wave is a parent newsletter that goes out every Friday. There is a lot of information that goes out in this. Obviously, this year with everything changing so frequently, it's just been a valuable thing to continue to reference and make sure that you make note of. Canvas has been new for us this year. Teachers within Canvas all have their Canvas pages, but we also have student entities and resources within Canvas. So our counseling department, we have a Canvas page where we post a number of social emotional resources and academic resources. We've been doing, like, for example, our Masters of Middle School workshops throughout the year virtually this year, and then we make them available for students on Canvas. We have podcasts on there that our student support specialist does with in conjunction with the student support specialist at the high school. So there's a lot of really cool resources in there. That was kind of somewhat of a plug for the counseling department one, but we've got other great ones too. We have an ASB and student leadership one, which has been great this year to really kind of give that school spirit among our peers and the students, to kind of give that sense of community even virtually. We've got a Canvas page for our library because our librarian, Mrs. McNeely, has always been great in keeping a full library with lots of activities for our students. And so not having a full library this year, she pushes those activities out in Canvas. But you'll see on there, we also have a digital library. So the Aries app digital library, paper, which is an online tutoring resources, these are all available in students' Beachport. So lots of good online resources as well. Again, you will see these many, many more times. So don't worry if you're forgetting all this information that we're throwing out at you guys. And then 6th grade connections. This is always, I think, the biggest topic that as a school counselor, I get to have a lot of times with our new incoming families is how do I get my new 6th grader connected? And we've got some really great programs on campus that really aim to do that. One of them is web support. So web stands for Where Everybody Belongs. It's a really cool initiative and nationwide program that we have 7th and 8th grade peers that are assigned little groups of no more than 10 or more or less 6th graders. And that's kind of their group. And they're kind of like the mother duck to these little new 6th graders. And we do various things throughout the year, starting with a huge web day, which kind of kicks off the year, allows the 6th graders to get to know their web leader, allows web leaders to connect with other groups. The web leaders are all trained in facilitating these activities and leading their groups. And then we've branched that out to also incorporating building relationships with staff. And we do what we call Web Wednesdays. So I believe it's once a month. We have students and staff pair up for an activity. On the pictures you see, we did cornhole, we've done ping pong, we've done like a scavenger hunt kind of thing, all just really fun things that students get to pair with a teacher or a campus supervisor. They get to pair with a staff member on campus. And usually they do it in conjunction with some of their peers, and then they get a little group together, and it's just a lot of fun. Nobody ever picks me for cornhole and ping pong, and there is a reason for that. So please let your students know not to pick me for either of those things, but they are a lot of fun. And then TMS clubs. I know I talked a lot about the TMS clubs earlier, but these are also really great ways for our 6th graders to connect with not just their peers that they've known coming from the elementary school, TOW or El Moro that they already know, but maybe they'll get to connect with someone from the other elementary school that they wouldn't have otherwise met, but has similar interests. And so we always encourage students to check out that list of clubs and really find the ones that they are interested in or feel are worth giving a try. Usually if they aren't loving it, they don't have to continue going. It's not like a huge commitment, but give it a try, because maybe you go and you meet someone and it's just more of a fun way to just hang out with more students. And we even do like a club rush typically in the fall. Once all of the clubs are started, the clubs set up all of their tables outside. And it's just a fun day to kind of walk around and see all the different groups that our students have started.
Thank you, Ms. Garcia. Just a reminder to all of you watching the parent webinar that if you have questions, feel free to go ahead and enter them into the Q&A box there, and we're going through one by one and answering those. And at the end here, we'll read a few commonly asked questions for the group. All right, important dates. Here are a few important key dates to mark down on your calendars. On May 11th and 12th, Ms. Garcia and Mrs. Vanderveen will join the 5th grade classrooms at El Moro and Top of the World to rally up some excitement and provide a few friendly reminders, provide a virtual tour of our campus with the help of some of our ASB officers, and answer any potential lingering questions that might be out there for what next year might look like. In addition, on August 13th, we will have our Waverider Day, which I'll cover a little bit on the next slide. And then on finally the first day of school, being August 23rd. Whoop, whoop. All right, thank you. So for Waverider Day, August 13th, that'll be a day where you're going to come onto campus, pick up your schedule, grab your PE clothes, pick up textbooks, Chromebooks, and of course, take your yearbook photo or school photo. So make sure that you're looking sharp and you're brushing those teeth out there for that big day so you can take a great snapshot. And of course, little tips that we want to provide you is that just make sure that you bring a bag or a backpack so that you can collect some of those belongings that we'll be providing for you that day. Of course, social media, how would we exist without it? So we have Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and you can follow us at TMS Waveriders, as well as Laguna Beach USD, and find some of the events and activities that we're having on campus. Now at this moment, what we're going to do is we're going to pop through the chat box. Ms. Schooler, if you want to kind of jump in there and see if there's any commonly asked questions, share that with our group. We can read a few out. And then of course, if you have any additional questions beyond this, as we mentioned, you can reach out to Mrs. Vanderveen, Ms. Garcia, or either myself or Ms. Schooler here at Thurston.
Yeah, I think there was just really two that might be the most relevant. One person was asking, do we have to select an elective? And the answer to that is yes, because we do have a 6-period day. And so while elective sounds like it's a choice, the choice is which one you want to take, but not if you take one. And then the other one was just asking about what is Canvas. I know we use that term a lot. In the elementary school, you use Google Classroom. When you transition to secondary, we have a different learning management platform. It's called Canvas. It will function in much the same way in that it allows for sharing of course material and information for staff, teachers, students. Looks like there's a couple. What time on August 13th? That would be for Waverider Day. We'll have all of those details coming up. It's typically a fairly longer time period, but also with time slots. So we'll get that to you in advance of that. Let's see. We do not have sport. The high school, you would be in a sports team instead of PE. In middle school, we do not have sports specifically through the middle school itself. The hours of 0 period, everything, the specifics of the scheduling are still being worked out, especially as we transition back. And that speaks to the other question that was left in here most recently, which is how many days are we going to school? Our goal is to get students on campus 5 days a week. We're actually excited that we're going to be starting that transition on April 19th. So 5 days a week is the goal. Obviously, COVID has thrown a couple wrenches in plans this year, but that's what we anticipate. There's quite a few questions getting thrown in now. Joe, do you want me to? I haven't seen any.
Yeah, no, I'm seeing one here in regards to any news about Catalina for 6th grade science. And yes, so we've been talking with the science camp group that hosts every year, and at this time, due to the health and safety guidelines, they have very strong limitations on the number of students that they can currently accommodate in regards to the current health and safety. So at this point, we're continuing to monitor and continue collaboration that at this time, just it's on pause until some of the guidance is a little bit more flexible, and including larger groups of students to attend.
Another question is just about the Aries link. The link and all this information will be going out again, and you'll have all week, and there's no prioritization based on who submits their class first versus who submits it tomorrow or Friday. So don't feel like you're in a rush to do that. It is not first come, first serve. And then there's some questions about different activities. And right now, we don't have any specific details on which activities, which days, or how frequently, but we are excited to make sure that, like Ms. Garcia said, middle school should be a place where there's a lot of learning, a lot of curiosity, new experiences, and also a lot of fun. And so we're excited to build in those activities to make sure that happens for everyone. And what the details of that will be, we will be figuring out as we get through the fall.
Okay. Time for one more, or did we catch them all?
I mean, we may not have gotten them all, but we can also throw out an FAQ as we'll just need to scan through to see, just as more are coming in, we might have missed some.
Sounds good.
And any other details as far as, like, I know people are asking about what time is this, you know, like August 13th, or how long will it go, or details, dates, all of that at times, all of that we will continue to be updating as we get closer to the events. And we will make sure to communicate those in multiple ways and with proper passcodes if there are. No, but we'll make sure we send multiple emails, and we'll get that to you so that it's not dependent upon just, you know, missing one email and then not knowing it.
Yeah, again, thank you so much, everybody, for your patience as we got this going, and do apologize about the initial technical difficulties, but we do appreciate you hanging in there with us, and we do look forward to having you here as a Waverider soon. We'll put together a frequently asked questions document to capture any questions that we may have missed. And again, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Hope you all have a wonderful evening.